What if I told you that Ferrari is not just preparing improvements, but a complete package capable of changing the balance of power in Formula One in a matter of weeks? Because while everyone was looking at Mercedes' initial dominance, in Maranello, they have been silently working on something much bigger. Hidden private tests, a completely evolved engine on the bench, and an aerodynamic package so aggressive that even within the team, it raises doubts. The question is, are we facing Ferrari's most brutal comeback in years, or a desperate bet that could go very wrong? What Ferrari is doing right now is not a simple evolution, it is a declaration of intent. Because to understand why all this is so shocking, you must first look at the real context in which the Scuderia finds itself at the beginning of the new 2026 era. And the reality is uncomfortable. Mercedes has struck first, and it has done so with an authority that has left Ferrari in a position of pursuer, not protagonist. In the first races under the new regulations where active aerodynamics and the new power unit have completely changed the rules of the game, Ferrari has shown positive things, yes, but insufficient. They have been competitive, they have been close, they have even touched the podium regularly, but they have never had real control of a race. And in Formula One, being close is not enough. The difference, although it may seem small on paper, is critical. There is talk of a disadvantage of up to 25 horsepower compared to Mercedes, a figure that on high-speed circuits translates directly into lost time that is impossible to recover, lap after lap. But the most interesting thing is not the disadvantage itself, but how it got here. Ferrari has not failed due to lack of work, nor due to obvious errors in the car's design. Quite the opposite. This scenario is the result of a strategic decision made more than a year ago, sacrificing immediate development to bet absolutely everything on the 2026 regulation. While other teams divided resources, Ferrari chose to go all in. They opted to arrive better prepared than anyone else for this new era, assuming the risk of being exposed in the short term. And that bet, at least for now, has not given the expected result. The SF26 showed promising signs in pre-season, solid reliability, good pace on long runs, positive feelings within the team, but when push came to shove, when the real engine modes and full configurations hit the track, the gap appeared. It is not a general concept problem, it is something more specific, deeper, and Ferrari knows it. That is why what is happening in Maranello right now is so important. Because we are not seeing a team that hesitates, nor one that enters into crisis. We are seeing a team that has identified exactly where it is losing, and that has decided to respond in most aggressive way possible. This is where Ferrari stops simply analyzing the problem, and begins to execute a plan that, due to volume, speed, and aggressiveness, has no recent precedent within the team. Because while from the outside it seemed like they were just fine-tuning details, in reality they have activated a full technical offensive, using every available window to collect data and validate solutions in real time. The first key move has been the test at Monza, officially presented as a simple 200-kilometer filming day, but in practice it has been much more than that. These types of sessions, although limited by regulations, have become extremely valuable tools for the teams, and Ferrari knows this perfectly. It's not just about rolling to record content, it's about installing new parts, measuring correlations between simulator and track, understanding how the car responds in real conditions, and above all, detecting problems before taking a complete package to a race weekend. The important thing here is not only that Ferrari has done this test, but the moment in which it does it. Taking advantage of an unexpected break in the calendar, they have turned dead days into a brutal strategic opportunity, accumulating kilometers and data, while other teams simply wait for the next race. And this is not a coincidence, it is pure execution. Speed in decision-making, internal coordination, and total clarity about what they need to improve. But they haven't stopped there. Ferrari has chained multiple sessions in a matter of days, including testing in Fiorano with artificial rain conditions together with Pirelli. And this adds another even more interesting layer to the analysis, because they are not only working on pure performance, they are also exploring the behavior of the car in extreme scenarios. Under the 2026 regulation, where active aerodynamics and energy management make the car much more sensitive, understanding these details can make enormous differences in the race. What Ferrari is doing is basically reducing the margin of uncertainty to the minimum possible. Each lap, each sensor, each test has a clear objective to validate whether the solutions they have developed in the factory really work on the track. And the most striking thing is the intensity of the program. We are not talking about an isolated test, but rather a perfectly planned sequence of sessions that complement each other, building an extremely rich database in a very short time. Ferrari is accelerating its development as if it were in full pre-season, but in the middle of the season. And this is where it all fits, because Ferrari is not only testing more or faster, it is preparing a direct blow to the heart of its greatest weakness. Behind all this intensive program, there are three elements that explain why what is coming is so important. An evolving engine that seeks to close the gap with Mercedes, a completely new aerodynamic package, and a clear strategic decision to risk now to change the season. The first point is critical. Ferrari has identified that its problem is not only one of balance or setup, it is real power. This difference that has been seen in the first races, especially on the straight, cannot be corrected with minor adjustments. That is why they have been working on the test bench with an evolution of the power unit that could represent a significant leap. We're not talking about a typical incremental improvement, we're talking about a direct attempt to eliminate that disadvantage that is costing them tenths of a second every lap. But power alone is not enough. And here comes the second element, the aerodynamic package. Ferrari is not opting for a conservative evolution, it is betting on a high-risk concept. New solutions that seek to maximize performance under the 2026 regulation, where the interaction between active aerodynamics and energy efficiency is much more delicate. This means that they can win a lot, but also that any error in correlation or behavior can cost them dearly on the track. And this is the key point. Ferrari is willing to take that risk, because all this has a very clear objective and a date marked in red, Miami. It's not a coincidence. It is not another update. This is the time when Ferrari plans to introduce this package and potentially change its position on the grid. All the work on Monza, Fiorano, and the simulator converges at that point. What we are seeing is not a progressive development, it is a concentrated offensive. Ferrari knows it cannot afford to react slowly while Mercedes sets the pace. That's why it has compressed weeks of development into just days, validating, fine-tuning, and preparing a set of improvements that could completely redefine its performance. Ferrari has reached a point of no return because everything it has built in Maranello during these weeks is not designed to test. It is designed to be executed under real pressure. And that takes us directly to the next level of this story. What can happen when this whole package hits the track in racing conditions? Because there is something that many overlook. It is one thing to validate parts in controlled tests with specific programs, without traffic, without pressure, and with more or less predictable conditions, and another completely different thing is to face a real Formula One weekend. That is where the improvements stop being numbers in a report and become tangible performance or unexpected problems. Ferrari is going to reach that moment with an enormous technical load, an evolved engine that must demonstrate that it has truly closed the power gap. An aggressive aerodynamic package that will have to behave stably in qualifying, in dirty air, on long runs, and under different track conditions. And all this furthermore with the pressure of knowing that there is no room for slow adaptation. Because these types of updates are not progressive, they are immediate. Either they work from the first moment, or they compromise the entire weekend. And here comes an even more critical factor, correlation. Ferrari has worked intensely in the simulator, on the test bench, and on the track with limited kilometers, but Formula One has shown time and time again that reality can break any prediction. If what they have seen at Maranello does not translate exactly the same on the track, the car can become unpredictable, difficult to adjust, or even lose performance in key areas. And that, in a context where Mercedes already has a solid and optimized package, can be lethal. But if everything fits, if the engine delivers what it promises, if the aerodynamics work as expected, and if the correlation is accurate, then Ferrari is not just closing the gap. It can completely change the competitive order. That is why this moment is so decisive. Because we're not talking about one more improvement, we're talking about a technical turning point that can redefine Ferrari's season. And when they get to the track, there will be no more simulations, no hidden tests, no room to hide anything. Ferrari has stopped hiding. And what it revealed in Maranello completely changes the reading of this season. Because we are no longer talking about a team that is trying to close the gap little by little, but about a team that has decided to accelerate time, compress development, and launch a total commitment to return to the fight for victories. Everything that the private tests, the intensive validation, the work on the engine, and the high-risk aerodynamic package have put in place points to one thing. Ferrari knows exactly where it is losing, and believes it has found a way to fix it. But this is where the real twist to this story is. Because the higher the bet, the higher the risk. This type of aggressive development leaves no room for error. If the correlation fails, if the package does not work as expected, or if the engine does not deliver that promised jump, Ferrari will not only remain behind, it could even further complicate its situation in the middle of the season. And yet, they have decided to do it. Because in modern Formula One, waiting is no longer an option. Either you attack or you stay behind. Now it all comes down to one moment, one race, one key introduction that can change everything. Miami won't be just another date on the calendar. It could be the turning point for Ferrari in 2026, or confirmation that, even with all this effort, it is still not enough. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.